The Lord of the Rings Online is a game chock full of many different ways to play the game. From just casually playing through the game, to being a hardcore raider, to just casually crafting for a long time, to now, speedrunning. That's right, the Lord of the Rings Online is full of various speedrunning categories, and today we're going to take a look at how I became the fastest Hobbit in the Shire. To start off, we went through and created our character. Now, I didn't spend any time doing the character creator because I wanted to just jump right in and start the run. So the timer begins once you gain control of your character. So we take our little hobbit named Speedrunner and we set off on our adventure. We jump into the run, and the first thing that we have to do is complete the tutorial. Now, I had completely forgotten about how the tutorial for Lord of the Rings Online worked, specifically with the hobbits. Each race has its own individual tutorial. The Hobbit tutorial is probably my favorite tutorial in the entire game because you actually get a little bit of time where you get to meet Frodo, Merry, and Sam. A really cool moment in the game. So, we go through our tutorial, which for the most part is going to be pretty much an auto-scroller. The game will have you go through its basic combat mechanics, how to equip all of your items, and during this time I make a point to equip my Journeyman riding trait, which will increase all of my speed on all of my mounts, as well as it will increase my I will be using the Fleet-Footed Goat account-wide mount that I purchased using Lotro points. Another thing to note here, I'm playing as the Hunter class because the Hunter class has a ton of mobility options while leveling, and they end up being a easy number one choice for this speedrun. As we continue on through the tutorial, we meet a ringwraith that shows up along the side of the road. By seeing this ringwraith, we immediately panic and we take off away to try and hide from the ringwraith. But unfortunately, as we're trying to hide from the ringwraith, we end up getting caught by some brigands and we are then taken prisoner. Once we wake up after being taken over, we are rescued by none other than the legendary man himself, Strider. Once we are rescued by Strider, we make our way out where we encounter another ringwraith who ends up stabbing another ranger by the name of Omdir. Omdir is then mortally wounded, and we try to do our best to heal him, but the ringwraith escapes, and it is now left with us and our wounded friend Omdir. We're then brought to the human village of Archet. Now, Strider immediately wants to tell people that Archet is in a lot of danger, and now that we're finished with the tutorial, we can officially focus on going fast. A lot of the keys within this speedrun is going to be optimizing your pathing that you take from one quest to another. There's not going to be any crazy exploits or anything to have to pay attention to, but this speedrun really comes down to your knowledge of the game. We hop on our Fleet-Footed Goat, and we go and we talk to an individual known as Calder Cobb. He gives us a quest where we go and quickly have to dispatch some wolves, and then make our way to grab some Kingsfoil. An important thing with this run, this here is where the hunter really shines. Since we choose the blue line trait tree, we get a ton of mobility and we're able to dispatch the wolves while we are moving, thus allowing us to save more time because we can just keep going to where the Kingsfoil is located, and then we can move even faster throughout the rest of the intro. Once all of the wolves are dispatched, we head up to the top of the tower, build up our focus so that way once we fight the Beastmaster, we can dispatch him quickly using our different abilities. We then make our way back to Calder Cobb, and we make our way throughout the rest of the instance. For the majority of the run, we're actually going to be spending a lot of time just kind of casually riding from one area to another. So we're not going to go into too much detail about all of the different ways that we're going to be riding from point A to point B. The biggest thing that we're going to be focusing on is how we're going to be handling each of the different fights. But there is one thing that I do want to talk about here where it's actually a pretty big area of time loss that I took based on just a little bit of lack of knowledge that I had. While I was trying to plan out my pathing after heading to the Blackwold encampment, I chose to ride around the lake. But while I was doing the run, it was actually explained to me by another runner named Intharth that you can cut the path and then jump over the gap to be able to get through. This saves a lot of time, and this will be an area where I will definitely be able to save a ton of time going back through to the run later on. Because on my way back to the hunting lodge, I end up taking that direct cut, and I can definitely see where the time save happens there. So this is an area where my world record can be improved upon if anybody would want to be up for the challenge. Once we go and we talk to John Brackenbook, we make our way over to dispatch some spiders, investigate a dead body, and then head over to Atlee Spiderbane, and then begin our final instance. This final instance is an area that basically is going to be comprised of a bunch of different fights. And the one thing that we definitely want to make sure that we are doing is being as close to the different triggers as possible. Since we have to talk to John Brackenbook, we will be spending a good chunk of time talking to him and then moving from one fight to the other. One of the things that I can definitely improve upon in my future runs is by making sure that I'm kiting a lot better. But since we have to make sure that we are not getting too far away from our next quest giver, we don't want to wander so far that we have to backtrack a bunch and lose more time in doing so. So, after we finish up our final conversations, we go and dispatch the last few enemies, and we finish up our run with a wonderful time of 23 minutes and 35 seconds, beating the previous world record by about 7 minutes. Overall, this run was really fun to do, and I had an absolute blast, and I definitely will want to go through and plan on improving my time, as there were many different moments where my time could be saved. And I definitely think you guys should want to be around for that ride. If you guys enjoyed watching this little bit of a breakdown of what a Lord of the Rings Online speedrun would look like, I definitely recommend checking it out. The game itself is super accessible for a speed game, and anybody can get into it, especially since the game is free to play. And since the run is only around 20 minutes, you can pick it up and you can learn how it works relatively quickly. So, I highly recommend that you check this run out. There will be links to the leaderboard down in the description below. But with that, that will be the end of this video. I want to give a huge shout outs to all of my Ko-Fi supporters. You guys are the ones that help to keep this channel running. You guys are absolutely incredible. Thank you so much for all that you do. And with that, you are loved, you are valued, you are fearfully and wonderfully made. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you in the next one. Have a wonderful rest of your day, everybody.